All right. Okay. So just to introduce myself, my name is Haris. So I've been in your shoes before, meaning that I had went through a coding bootcamp and also learned coding, and I have gone through 3 months of the coding bootcamp and graduated and managed to get a software developer job. So that was back in 2017, so 7 years ago, right? So I think that coding is still something that is, I would say, in demand because right now with AI and all of this technology, kind of advancement, right? A bit fluff, but essentially, is software developers going to be something that is needed? I do believe so because even with the AI, you still need someone to understand the coding side of things. But with this, you're able to be more productive as well. Okay, so with that said, I would like you to put in your questions inside. Uh, I think it will be very beneficial for everyone to just ask a question. It can be Dixon, it can be Safa, Firdaus, Michelle, Aris, right? Okay, thanks, Firdaus. All right, good first question. So the question is, how was your first job as a developer? Were you well equipped during the time? No. Why do I say that? Because there was once where I almost fuck up because I was a mobile app developer. So I almost fuck up the app itself, meaning that the app didn't, when it's in the App Store, Play Store, right, didn't launch properly because of me. And then at the same time, back then I was working as a software developer in a startup as an intern. So essentially, they depended on me to launch the mobile app as an intern. And for those who are thinking of hiring interns to launch your app, generally not a good idea. So in the end, what I did was like, in the end, me and the founders, we eventually just say that, okay, let's launch the app, but essentially just show a website. Essentially, the app will just show a website because it's not fully done, right? And then in the startup as well, I didn't have a senior developer for a few months. That means that I didn't have anyone to guide me. So my code was shit. I don't know if, so there was a lot of things that I didn't know. So maybe in the bootcamp, we have gone through this thing called CI/CD, or continuous integration or continuous development. Essentially, just to share what that means is automation. How you automate, for example, building your website to go through certain testing so that your website actually works. I didn't know about that. So once a senior developer came in, then I knew about CI/CD and that's where it allows me to like, oh, I didn't know. It's like there's a lot more towards software development. So at my first job, I was like literally a newbie, someone who just come out from, a boot camp and trying to learn coding and didn't know a lot of things. So, but the startup founder back then, my ex-employer, gave a chance on me, and I think I did pretty good because essentially, I helped build the mobile app, and now I think it has over 100,000 downloads. And but I've worked there for a year also lah. And then the word equipped made me want to think about what equipment did the startup give me? Nothing. No lah. They gave me some money to buy my laptop. So it's like most of the time you're gonna use your own laptop if you were to join a small business. So that is where I'm okay lah. But essentially, it's like if you were to join a small medium business that is like very young or even a startup, that's generally what you're gonna. That's what I feel. That's the reality of things is lah. So yeah, if you were to join a bigger company, I think Ken has maybe shared with you guys on what it is like to work in a very big money laundering company. So in a smaller business, like also like Sigma School, we do have some people or mentors to guide you. But if you're in my position where there's no mentors, that's where like it's a bit tough for you to understand. So for me back then, when I wanted to find a mentor, I literally would just go to LinkedIn and I will like DM people, hey, let's catch up for coffee or something like that. because I want them to be the mentor lah. Then the person that I met was a very senior developer from Grab, and then he mentioned to me, the best mentor is GitHub. And I'm like, oh my God, you don't get it? I want you to be my mentor. Yeah, so I'm like, that's okay lah. So, but I mean, in a way, it's kind of correct. You see in GitHub, there's a lot of code, and a lot of times the code is not a lot of times, but if you go to the correct place in GitHub, you actually find code that has been coded by very good developers like from Google, from Facebook. This is what we call open source projects, right? Yeah. So that's a bit about what was my first job lah. Okay, I wasn't well equipped lah, to be honest. So, but I mean, I managed. Okay, so second, Safa, how confident do you feel after 3 months of bootcamp? Do you feel confident interviewing that? No, because I really like, just to give you context, right? Right now in Sigma School, you have slides that you can refer to learn, and then a lot of coding exercises. Back in my bootcamp, how the instructor taught was he opened up a website and then he teach from the website, and then he code. So literally the quality of the lessons not that great, right? So I was like, it's like, okay, I have to read documentation, the website itself. So essentially it's there's the old ways, or that bootcamp lah. But confident, not so, because I mean I was a junior, I didn't really know much. So but for me, I knew that I need to get like a tech job after the bootcamp. So I just go to interviews, right? And to give also some context, in 2017, the tech was pretty like popular, and the startup scene, small businesses were also popular. So a lot of people are hiring people who might not have a computer science degree. So they are very open in hiring. Nowadays also they are open in terms of hiring people without computer science degrees. So generally for me, it's like I wasn't so confident because generally I was a newbie lah, and that's fine because I mean, to expect someone to be a very good junior developer after 3 months of a boot camp from zero coding experience, it's like asking a lot, right? But if someone were to see some, glimpse of like, hey, actually you have potential, then that's great. So, but generally, like, I don't believe anybody after 3 months of bootcamp are confident to go through interviews, because you only have 3 months, right? You don't know what you don't know. Even after 3 months, like for me, I feel confident in my coding after 1 year, 2 years, 2 to 3 years. Now I feel very confident, like in my coding abilities, and going through interviews as well lah. So takes longer lah, but I mean, if you have very good support system in terms of like your workplace, then yeah, you'll be able to grow faster, learn faster as well. Yeah. So confident, not so much, but it's just because your skill level is not that great. Okay, next question. So good questions. Please put more questions inside the messages as well. Okay, next question from Dixon. Any advice to combat confidence issues when it comes to applying for companies that uses tech stacks that you're not familiar with? So I think like Safa and Dixon, you have a common what do you call this theme, confidence, right? What is confidence, right? English lesson, right? So confidence essentially is how strong are you in terms of, okay, basically what are the possibility of you achieving something? If you're confident in something, means that you have a high possibility that you can achieve something. So for example, running. How confident am I in terms of achieving below 2 hours for half marathon? Very confident. Why? It's because right, I've ran for 10 years. You get it? Like I've ran for a long time. So the thing is that how to combat confidence is to like do a lot to a point that you can do it. So in coding, it's like, if I were to just say create a React app, what lessons are they now? Safa, what lessons are they now? Condition rendering. Okay, React app. Right? Okay, great. So it's like, if I ask you, create a React app that can essentially do a to-do list. If you're not confident, then I'm confident to know that you didn't practice a lot. If you're confident, that means you practice a lot, and you could, what the hell is this? My God, what is this shit? I think it's my spit. But yeah, so it's like, confidence is essentially how much of experience you have gone through it. So in 3 months, right, some of you code after lessons. So you're a bit more confident. Some of you code during weekends, makes you more confident. Some of you code every single fucking hour, makes you more confident, right? So the amount of time you put in something, you are confident to achieve a possibility of increases the possibility of achieving something. So for those of you who maybe in your fundamentals didn't really do so well, and then you're learning React, and then you're not sure, mainly it's because you didn't do enough. Yes, you can say that. Yes, some people have experience, some people have don't. Nobody gives a fuck, right? Just like understand who you are as a person, see what you need to do and how to improve. Because in the end, the bootcamp is for you, right? Not for anyone else. So you need to focus on yourself and then see what you're not confident in. I'm not sure how to create the variables. Okay, then create 100 lines of variables so that you can understand what variable is, and that means you're confident creating variables. Okay, so that's essentially what confidence is. Experience, right? So coming to companies that uses tech stack that you're not familiar with, that's very normal. If you ask me, Haris, I need you to join a company that does Go language, it's by Google. Am I confident? No, I'm not confident, but I'm confident to know that I can learn very fast because I've learned fast before in multiple languages. So that's why I'm confident, right? So anything in terms of confidence is just your lack of practice generally. That's it, right? You ask me to do something that I've never or rarely done. Uh, ask a girl out. I'm not confident, right? Because some of you know already. Yes, something like that. Okay, so these are things that essentially anything to do with confidence. That means you didn't have practice. You're not confident in the interview. That means you didn't have enough practice. Right, that's it. Okay, let's move on. Ken Jin. This guy sounds gay. No, I'm kidding. What made you want to go into education rather than tech? So it's a personal question, right? Okay, I mean, just to share, like for me, why I choose education over tech. I think tech can be inside education as well. I'm not going non-tech, but it's just that education is something that I see a huge benefit if done right. So, for example, the bootcamp essentially is education, right? You going through something to learn something and hopefully to achieve something, right? So that's education. So for me, it's like I personally have gone through a bootcamp and I saw the power of education on how it helped me got my first job and multiple opportunities that I've gotten, right? So without it, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So with education itself, this is where you need to know what's the right education for you, right? So some of you chose coding because you believe that coding will help you get a job or start your own business or whatnot, right? So essentially, like for me, I see that impact, right? The education impact, right? So and then outside of the bootcamp space, it's more towards like personally, I feel that a lot of things in the world right now, if we were taught how to treat people well, how to be more understanding, how to be nice, right? Generally, the world will be a nicer place to live in, right? So that's why I go into education a lot because I believe it solves a lot of problems. A lot of problem is now being solved through corruption. So, nah, rather go education. Okay, so that's why I rather go into education. If everyone was taught being fair, being nice, non-judgmental, then everyone will be good lah. Okay, yeah. So that's why I want to be in tech education. So Kenjin, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, Nabila, Adrina, Ahmad, Johanif. Damn, that's a long name. How do you get to Google and how were you awarded as the Google Developer Expert? So to just share, Google Developer Expert is a title that you need to earn, right? So what does a Google Developer Expert do? So think of it as a not freelance, volunteer content creator for Google, essentially, right? So I create content about this specific technology called Flutter. So Flutter is a mobile app technology. I was a mobile app developer. So after I quit my job, I created content and courses around Flutter, and Flutter was created by Google. And then one of the community managers from Google in Singapore approached me saying, "Hey, I saw your videos. Do you want to be Google developer expert?" And I said, "Sure." So I went through like different interviews of being a Google developer expert. So I have to know my shit, right? So how I was confident is because I created so many videos. I was coding Flutter for 1 year plus, so I was really confident on how to answer their questions. So I didn't work for Google, but it's like I have the branding of Google. And then as a Google developer expert, you are given the opportunity to talk about the technology that you are awarded. So Flutter was one of it. Also, you'll be talking to Google developers who are working in Google creating the tech, which is Flutter, right? So, and then I also learned how these Google developers code. So they code very differently, and definitely a better quality than me. And that's how I learned as well. So this Google developer expert, even though it's not like a paid job, it's like it's not easy to get in. Like no one can get in. It's not a course you go in. It's like first number one is like you need to prove that you're able to create content that reaches to a lot of people, or you like to just share a lot of things lah. So that's the standards of Google lah. So yeah, I mean with this, it allows me to brand myself as a Google developer expert, and then yeah, a lot of benefits. I mean, one of the benefits was yeah, I'm able to travel overseas for free to do talks. So they pay for my accommodations and my flight. You know what's the best part? They gave me when it was in COVID. So I literally had no opportunity to travel for free. Fuck. But it's okay. I mean, it wasn't like for me, I'm all about business and money. So this doesn't really help. So for me, I'm just like, okay, cool. But after thinking about it, it's like, not really cool. Yeah. So, but it's good. It's something that not everyone has. And I'm proud that I was a Google developer expert. All right. Thanks, Nabila, Adrina, Ahmad, Johadi. All right. Next one, Safa. What if I haven't been able to solve any of the code wars problems so far in the slides? What should I do? Also, any tips for coding interview? So for the code wars problems, right? So essentially, I would break down what the problem is. So for example, it can be a very simple problem. How to create a function that multiplies. Even from that problem, you need to come up with the steps. What's the first step? How do you get two numbers, right? So create a variable. Next step, how do you multiply that, right? You can Google how to multiply in coding, use a star, right? So these are things that you have to do. You have to break down the problem. And the easiest for me is to draw or write down. Visualize the problem. Code wars is coding challenges, right? So you need to visualize because we humans are visual learners, visual problem solvers. If you disagree, take out your eyes and see whether you can solve the problem or not. Exactly. So that's the thing about, I feel the best way to solve problems is to visualize. If you were to go to YouTube and then you say, Code Wars is like coding challenges, there's a common one called Lead Code. You can just like go and see how these YouTubers solve coding problems. I can for sure guarantee you that they will draw out the solution, right? Because they know that drawing and writing actually helps, right? I don't know what's the psychology behind it, but I believe it's the visual aspect of solving a problem. So for me, it's just like use ChatGPT. Just use ChatGPT. You have ChatGPT. The thing is that me and Kat back then we didn't have. You have ChatGPT back then exactly. We didn't have ChatGPT, right, to solve this problem. So we had to like figure the fuck out why this person put this solution, right? But now you have ChatGPT. You can literally say ChatGPT, why the first solution like this? They just ask. ChatGPT will give a very close answer to why these certain things work, right? But at the same time, you also need to know what you are not confident or haven't practiced. If you don't know how to create functions, then create functions, right? So, and you don't know how to create a function within a function, then you have to, practice, right? So, but essentially, how to solve most problems is very cheesy. A lot of times people say this, break down the problem into small problems. So, for example, let me give you a big problem. How do you move one number from one position to the other position? So this is an array, right? So essentially what you need to do is that, first of all, you need to know how to get a position of a number, correct, right? Second is, how do you move a number from one position to another position, okay? And then third is, okay, whatever lah. So you break down the steps, okay? So, yeah, you have ChatGPT to explain every single step, gives you a better understanding. And it's just practice lah. Same thing with coding interview. It's like you just need more practice. If you cannot practice with someone else, practice in front of the mirror, record yourself. A lot of times, I think a lot of people are afraid of recording yourself is because you don't hear yourself talking, and it's very normal because how you hear, how you sound through audio is very different on how you sound in your head, because your head has a lot of air. The fucking phone don't have. So these are things that I mean you get used to, but you just need to record, right? You can use ChatGPT to also like ask for tips for coding interview lah. But the one is just practice, to be honest, just practice, right? Then it just like a very simple thing that back then when I shared with my students is when you go for coding interview, first impression counts a lot. So during the coding interview, the first question they probably say, okay, introduce yourself. So just practice how to introduce yourself in a way that people can remember you. Right? For example, like for me, I say, oh, hi, I'm Haris. I just graduated from coding bootcamp. If you know coding experience, by 3 months, I was able to create multiple web applications. And my proud project that I built was back then was a food finder app, right? And then one thing that I joke is like, okay, and 3 months I believe is a very fast period for someone to learn coding. If you want someone who is slow at coding, don't hire me. Then people like, haha, so funny, then that kind of thing. So it's like these are things that like you should practice and like just record, listen, type down, right? Because this first impression will generally shape on how the interview. Because if you go to an interview monotonous and all that shit, nobody like they already decided, okay, this person had low energy, I probably don't want to hire this person. So generally just research, find what is for me, I feel that coding interview, your first sentence is very important. Then after that, just keep on practicing. Ask your friends, okay, is this good? How can I improve? Right? Because generally you don't like people saying your mistakes and whatnot. But that's if you want to be a good developer or you want to be in a good company, you need to go through this lah, right? So it's generally just practice lah, right? And then asking for feedback as well, right? You can ask Safa herself, or you can ask anyone in Sigma Su to have like a how, what do you call this like to just like have a mock interview, right, on how to improve. Okay, so thanks Safa. Next one, Dixon. Are there any difference in terms of career progression if I were to start as front end versus back end versus full stack? So for career progression itself, it's like generally what do you want to do? For me, back then I wanted to be a mobile app developer, very specific, even more specific, Flutter. So, but after I realized, right, talking to multiple software developers, right, you will have a sense of like how software development works. Okay, but generally is like for me, if you were to work with front end and you want to be a full stack dev, then you just learn back end afterward. If you start back end and you want to be a full stack dev, then you start. I mean, then you learn front end after work, that kind of thing. So in terms of career progression, to be honest, like it's like if you're a full stack developer, meaning that you know front end and back end, then it's easier for you to find jobs because like if there is a front end position, you have front end experience, you have back end experience, you have back end experience, right? But generally, to me, to be honest, just choose what you generally want to do. You want to do game development, and just do game development. Because in terms of career progression, the only career that you only want is something that you want to do, right? So if it's all about money, then go in sales, right? Don't go coding, right? Go sales, learn sales, right? Like sales can earn you a lot of money very quickly if you're very good at it. But you chose coding for a reason, right? So it's like choose something that you like to do in coding. It can be data analytics, right? Data science. Then can be like no. But generally for me it's like fundamentally it's like it's like I will be so good that the career come to me. That kind of mindset, right? But if you want to talk about career progressions, I can talk about it. But generally, I would say, what do you generally want to do in terms of your career? And it doesn't like whatever you choose doesn't mean it's going to be a 10-year career. It's just generally it's easier for you to focus on what you want to do because eventually you like doing it and then you become good at it and then it's easier for you to get hired and then you can think about career progression later on. Because right now, what you need to care about is getting a job. Okay, career progression, you can think about it later. Getting a career, that's more important. So just focus on what you want to do. Okay. Then if you want to do like game development, animation, just do it. Then you will stand out a lot more because you genuinely like to do it. And then you can like for me, I say this, enthusiasm is free but powerful. I think I've been through quite a lot of interviews where people are not enthusiastic. So I'm like, okay lah, I'm not gonna hire this person because they're not enthusiastic, right? So yeah, that's one thing. All right. So I think the better question or focus should be what career you want to start and be good at first. Because what I've seen so far is just like have that mindset first because it's better to be very good at something so that you can get hired quickly. Career progression can think about it because you don't know the future, right? Okay, that's my honest opinion. Okay, next one, Aris Louis. How did you get your first freelance coding job and are you still working on coding projects? So, uh, for me, how I got my first freelance coding job is I built a YouTube channel. Right now, I haven't touched my YouTube channel for 2 3 years. Right now, the YouTube channel has like 19,000 subscribers, over total a million views. So for me, it's like if you want to know more about freelance, generally for me, my experience is number one, I had contacts. So I used to work as an intern for this company called Tinker Tanker. So how I got like freelance job from them is because I worked for them previously. So contacts is number one. Number two is that I talk about a YouTube channel. So that is I call it like marketing, right? So I market my skills. So my YouTube channel back then was all about Flutter coding. So a lot of people reach out to me saying, "Hey, can you teach me? Can you do this project?" All of that. So I can share some numbers. Like one of the project that I do was with a client in the US for 3.6K USD. Another one was with a Malaysian company. They wanted to pay 20 to 30K ringgit. Yeah. So and then for me it's because my YouTube channel was very popular. Not say very popular, but it's like popular enough to know that, and also people know that I know my shit lah because I've been doing a lot of like videos about Flutter. So yeah, and that's how I got my first freelance coding jobs. Is from the previous contacts, right? Companies that I worked before, and also from my YouTube channel. So right now I'm kind of doing freelancing or doing my own business. If you wanna like get a coding job, right, you don't expect the coding job come to you, right? You can start on freelance platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, whatever, right? Or the best is to just ask around in your family members if anyone is uh, needing a website to build, right? And then that's generally is what people do. Like they have their friends interested, and then they have their first coding job from there. So that's essentially how people do. But for me, it's like I'm a bit. It's not very common. I don't do the common way, as you can see lah. So this is something that generally I did. But if you want to do the easier way of freelancing, you can go freelance at Fiverr lah. And then but you have to play the game of Fiverr lah. Fiverr has its own ways of like being the top whatever, that kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah. So you can Google lah. But for me, it's just from the previous job that I worked for, and also my YouTube channel. But I've been my YouTube channel for like 1 year now. That's why. Okay, so next one, $3. How was your resume portfolio as a junior dev? Do you think 1 3 major projects is good enough? Bro, my resume portfolio junior dev is so shit. It's like not great at all. It was like, this is my apps. And then one word sentence. That's it. One word sentence. That doesn't make sense. One sentence less than 10 words, right? So it wasn't great at all as a junior dev. Give context of 2017, right? So the resume that we are showing you on how to do it is like legit better than what I've done, right? And yes, having projects to show is so important. You know how many computer science people don't have a working project that they can show? A lot of them. So it's like you have a major advantage of if you're able to show your projects in your resume, right? Because that's the easiest way to know whether someone knows how to code. Because if you say, oh yeah, in my uni, I have done this final year project. But it's like, how do I know you have done either creating a button or the whole project, right? Then I have to ask, right, in the interview, which is a waste of time. So it's like, I might as well find someone who actually can build a website Okay, so it's very important for you to put inside your resume because it's very easy to know, okay, this person knows how to code, I'll go for the next interview. Versus like trusting this person in a university that have built this project that they might not even do a lot, so it's like, So it's very important to have your projects inside with a working link. If your link is broken, then the chance of you getting a job probably lower. Yes. All right. So yeah, it wasn't great for my resume. So just a tip lah, like just put in your working link projects. Most of the time, it will sell itself in a sense. Okay, another question for you, Daus. What was your strategy approach to tackle the technical interview? Practice. Just practice the technical interview. So I think you will be going through on mock technical interviews. This is where we will judge you on how well you solve a problem. And then Safa will probably show on a better way to solve the problem now. So to just give you a simple advice on how do you, be successful in a technical interview, just imagine they are teaching someone how to solve the problem. That's it. So when you teach, you probably have to say a lot of things, right? Okay, so we have this problem, right? So I need to write this down and then whatever, right? So I generally also recommend you to actually draw, right? So I would recommend if you have money, invest on a writing pad so that when you solve the problem or technical interview, you can actually write down. And not many software developers write down during technical interviews, right? Second thing is always prepare lah. So practice a lot. Go through coding challenges. Go through your projects, right? Just be in it. Like if I want to hire a software developer, what does a software developer do? In 1 week, 40 hours, they code every single hour most of the time. So if you are not as prepared as a software developer in a company, why would I want to hire you? So if you are as prepared as a software developer in a company, generally you should be confident enough to go through a technical interview, right? The technical interview is just they will ask about your project, so you go through the code and explain. So you should know how to do that. The second one is the coding problems, right? So that one you just practice every day. Practice 3 coding problems, right? In Code Wars, and you just keep on practicing. Get your brain of like challenging, solving problems there, right? So that's how. But for me, 2017, it was an easier time. It's like, hey, I saw your resume. You have a couple of links in GitHub. Let me go through an interview, right? Right now, it's like way more competitive. So right now, I would say just practice a lot before an interview. Because to just give you what are the numbers for previous students, right? The number of interviews they have is like less than 5. So every interview opportunity, right? If you don't do well or never prepare well, you're gonna lose a lot more. So it's like preparation is very, very important. Okay? If you have 10 interviews, that means you're fucking smart. But generally, from my experience, all of the students I went through, none of them get 5, maybe 3 or 2 or 4. Yeah. Yeah. Like at most is 5, right? 5. So it's like if you fuck up these 2 because you didn't prepare, it's your fault. They left 3, right? Yeah. So generally, just prepare a lot, like over prepare, right? To a point that you're like, I know how to answer all questions. Like you should be at the level if you want to hit running, right? People generally say, oh, you should go to job interviews. I disagree because like nowadays it's very hard to get a job interview. So might as well just over prepare. Okay, Safa, do you do freelancing before your first job or alongside the job? So for freelancing, no. So for me, I have a couple of freelancing jobs that I've done during my first job. So one of it was like teaching coding. There was one freelancing job. Then after I quit my job, I also did freelancing as well. Yeah. So but freelancing wasn't something that I was like pursuing. I was like, hey, got opportunity, okay lah, go lah. Hey, got opportunity, go lah. So I wasn't really into that kind of thing lah. So I'll just like focus on getting a job, doing well on the job. Then for me, generally, I like to do one thing also help getting the Google Developer Expert is that I like to go on talks. Like I'm that kind of person where I go to meetup.com. Meetup.com is just a website to see. There's an event website lah. So I'll go there and then like, okay, I'm can I share about Flutter? And they say, yes, okay, I go lah. And then I just, just present, teach for free. People laugh at me, I happy, that kind of thing lah. So these are things that I generally do without like any focus of a goal. Yeah. So this freelancing wasn't a goal of mine, but it was alongside the job itself. Very common for software developers that freelancing jobs. Yeah. Dixon, what's the reality of work-life balance for that? Honestly, it depends. So for me, in my startup, in the startup that I was working for, they're very good work-life balance. It's like they come at 11, they finish at 5. And I was like, what the fuck is this work? Piece of, no lah. It's like that's their work life. It's like a lot of my colleagues reach at 11, close to 12. Then like come in, eat lunch already. Then after that, work a bit, and then at 5, bye bye, 5 to 6. So it's like depends on the company, to be honest. As for me, I am a very different person. I come to work at 7 a.m. and I leave work at 8 p.m. Yes. Why? It's because I like working. So generally, work whatever you want. You want a balance, then find a company that gives you balance, right? Usually it's MNCs. In a startup, depends. In the startup that I have was very work-life balance, but for me, I like working, so I come in early, come out late, that kind of shit, right? So it's like it's what you want, yeah. So if you want like work-life balance, start at 9, end at 5, find companies doing that, right? So any developers and any companies have very different balance, right? So for me, like I say earlier, find what you like to do because if you like to do what you like to do, you do more of it, you get better, right? So it's like going to a job 40 hours a week versus going to a job 50 hours a week because you just like working. Who do you think will improve more? Obviously, the 50 hours per week person, even though he or she was not forced to work more. But generally, they like to work more, right? I'm that kind of person. If you have that, like if you already catch the drift or know how I think, it's like generally I like to improve. For me, when I was working in a startup, I from 7 a.m. go to work, finish at 6, 7 p.m. coding. Then I go to a place, continue coding for my own project. That kind of thing. So it's like just to give you a perspective of how much I work versus how much you work. Okay. Okay. So this is a personal thing. If you don't like to work, you want to have life outside of work, then it's fine, right? Then find a company that has that. But generally, it depends on the company itself, right? But as a personal thing, I like working. Okay, so can you share a slump during your journey? How do you overcome it? A slump during my journey as a software developer. I think generally I'm just focused on the software development. For me, it's like this more personal rather than the software developer. Because generally, as a software developer, you will tend to have problems that you need to solve, and then you either solve it on the day itself, the week itself, the month itself. So sometimes it takes a long time for you to solve a problem, which is okay, right? So for me, it's like that is not a huge issue. But if you talk about my personal slump, for me, it's just figuring out what I want to do in my life, right? Very deep already. But essentially, I'm that kind of person, very deep. So it's like, for me, it's like, do I genuinely want to be a software developer for the rest of my life? So the answer to me was no lah, right? So that's where I figured that I wanted to do something else. That's why I quit my job, right? So that slump came in pretty quickly because back then, before I got my first software developer job, my dream job was a software developer job. And after that, I realized, not really, right? But it's okay, right? Then I realized, okay, move on to something else, right? So that was my slump, right? My journey. Like in terms of coding, to be honest, is like that would be it's a normal slump if you cannot solve a coding problem for many days or many weeks, right? That's a normal slump, and it's normal. So for me, if I were to overcome it, it's just time, and then ask people for help, right? Yeah, that kind of thing. But yeah, so it's like technical, it's not like the hardest because eventually you'll solve it. Like there are times where I thought that I couldn't solve it, but eventually I solved it, that kind of thing. So like after a while, I just like, if I work on the problem long enough, I will solve it, right? Because this is after 7 years of experience. Yeah. But a personal slump is like legit. I had some midlife crisis or quarter life crisis when I was in my software development job itself. Yeah. But it's okay. Everyone has their own journey, right? Okay. So next one, Michelle. How long does it take for you to find a job after 3 months boot camp? If you say a job, I was already working part time while in the boot camp. I was working part time. So I already had a job. So 0 seconds. No lah. But the job itself wasn't related to coding lah. But I'm assuming how long does it take for you to get a tech job after 3 months? So for me, I think it took me a few weeks because before the job itself, before the coding bootcamp, I was already looking for a job lah. So I was like applying here and there lah. And I think within a month or so, I got my first job as a tech internship lah. Right. So that was pretty like I would say it was pretty quick. If you say how long it took me for my first like full-time job, 9 months, three, yeah, three, not 9 months, 6 months. So 3 months, correct, 9 months, 6 months internship in one company, and then 3 months in another company, and then I got my first full-time job. Yeah. So for me, it's like money wasn't a concern back then because I was young, dumb, and broke. So yeah. So essentially, like, if I got my first tech internship, like 1 month, first full-time job, 6 and 9 months. Yeah. But for now, I'm fine because for me, it's the goal itself, which is getting the Flutter job because that's what I really wanted. Okay, Firdaus. So people can make full stack software dev in 1 month in software dev jobs, what they usually do, bug fixing. People can make full stack software in 3 months in software dev jobs, what they usually do. Okay. So I'm assuming Firdaus, your question is, what do a junior developer do after they get a job? So it depends on the company itself, but generally, yes, creating features, fixing bugs, that kind of thing lah. But usually in the first few months as a software developer, you will learn how to work. So meaning like, how do you manage your tasks, right? So in a company, they probably have a project management task software and a supervisor that you report to. And then you need to learn also the tech stack. So a lot of times, Sigma School graduates, they have to learn another tech stack. They have to learn .NET. They have to learn PHP, Laravel, right? It's because that's what the current industry is looking for. But you're teaching you React. But the best thing is that since you're able to learn in 3 months, there is a high confidence that companies see you that actually, if I give you 1 month of Laravel, you probably can learn by yourself, right? So a lot of times you are learning the new stack, right? When you're an experienced developer, you'll be so confident that any stack they give you, you already probably know how to work on it already very quickly. So generally, you'll be learning a lot in your first few months, right? So at the same time, you're also learning how to work in your company. So you'll be knowing who is who, how to work, when to work, right? And then that kind of thing, not to push bug fixes, all of that. So on a Friday. So bug fixing, adding features very normal for junior developers. And also if you were to have a culture of, we call this pull requests or code reviews, then that's where you'll also be, in a way, being taught on how to do better code, which is very normal. People say, why are you putting this variable name as this? You should put it like this. So you learn like the standards of coding itself, right? Which is something that is very normal, right? So generally people hire, like software developers now, they hire people who can already code a fully functioning app. It's just that it just teach you the small things, how to push a feature, how to do code reviews or do a pull request, and then you learn the stack. So that's easier than versus if you have no code experience at all. Okay. All right. Maybe a couple more questions before I end. Safa, as someone who's interviewed people, how much weight would you put on having LinkedIn, GitHub, portfolio website, any other profiles that are recommended? So generally for me, the most important is your working project. I don't really care what degree you have, what is your grades, right? These are nice to have, to be honest. But I mean, because I'm in a perspective of a small business. As a small business, I don't have time to, in a way, like teach you run the rope. So in a way, I need you to kind of understand how to run an application. So That's why a working project helps a lot, because I know that you can build a project. That means you know how to learn and actually build something. So that's very, very important. LinkedIn wise, I would say not so important, but for you to search for a job, then LinkedIn is important, because LinkedIn is a platform for you to search a job, right? Get an interview. But inside your resume, not so important, but it's a very good to have, right? GitHub, I think it's almost a must, right? If you're a software developer but you don't have GitHub, then either you're like the developer who don't know GitHub at all, and I probably won't hire you, right? Because GitHub is another thing you need to learn altogether, and the time for you to learn GitHub, it's a lot of time, because it's another part of development. So I rather like make it an easy yes for someone to hire you. So having GitHub helps a lot. Having LinkedIn, having LinkedIn is okay, right? It's good to have, but for you to search for a job, LinkedIn is very important. So that's a difference, right? So, and then a portfolio website. I would say a portfolio website, to me personally, not very important, because portfolio website is just a website that you can like be on Notion or some web blogs, or and then you just put stuff, and then here's a website. For me, what's more important is your working project. So yeah, that's very important to me, right? Like if you can show me a working project that has a URL, that means right, you really have experience in terms of building a project. All right, and then maybe okay. So Fira asked me, what are you currently doing right now, and what's next for you in the future? Right now I'm helping tutors, tuition business owners grow their business, not related to coding at all. How I help them is to, in a way, teach them something like this, right? Teach them how to grow their business through operations, systems, processes, automations, hiring, whatever, right? So for me, it's like to just also give you an aspect of coding is that in the business that I'm doing, I have to reach out to tutors, tuition business owners, right? And there is a website that has all of the different addresses and contacts. So what I do is I hire an admin to put in these contacts into like a Google Sheet. So with 2 hours, right, this person only did like at most 60 entries, 2 hours, 60 entries. Then I realized like this looks like I can solve it with code. So in 1 hour, I managed to use code and automation to get all 800 entries into the Google Sheets. So it's like with the coding that I've learned, I'm able to like solve problems that I think a manual person would be taking too long, or and the thing is they make mistakes as well. So it's like these kind of things shouldn't be done manually anymore, right? Any data entry kind of stuff. So in a sense, I see this same problem in tuition centers, tuition business owners, right? So for them, they don't know how to code. So essentially what I do is I help them teach how to create systems and processes to reduce errors, and also use automation tools to reduce data entry or manual workload, right? So yeah, these are things that I'm doing right now. And what's next for you in the future is like I don't know. I don't know what's the, but I know I'm gonna work on my own thing, and I will achieve my goals next year. If I achieve my goals, I'll be here next year. That's what I told Derek. Like next year, if I reach my revenue goals, I will be here. Right. So that is it for me. All right. So thanks everyone for coming in this. So let's give a round of applause. Well done, well done, well done. Come up with the emoji. Doesn't doesn't Okay. So before we leave, let's take a photo. Very insightful. Or no survey. Okay, no worries. This was last minute. Okay, let's switch on our webcams. Take a photo. Right. Thanks for your hours. Whatever else. Dixon, Ken, Michelle, Aris. All right. So if there are any questions, ask Ken, not me anymore. Sorry, don't have Cam. What about Aris? What is this web browser? Oh, looks nice. Is it fast? Okay lah. Too bad I sold my laptop already. All right, let's take a screenshot. I think it's this. Control Shift. Yes. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, smile. Let's do one more with filters. Live visual effects. All right, give me a second. I'm running on a Windows no lah. 7-year-old. This is 20 what? 12. Oh, this is my laptop then. Wait, doesn't show at all. System report. Oh, 2017. Ah, yes. Correct. Okay. Yeah, this is my first MacBook laptop. Yeah, but I sold it already. All right, let's do one more filter. Okay, with this, hopefully it shows. Right. But the first time I had this laptop, I was so amazed on one thing. I can open the laptop without the laptop moving. Open the screen. I was like, wow, Apple is the real shit. Okay, now I'll do one more screenshot before we leave. Come on, guys. Where's the filter? Safa, why never teach them how to create the filter? Huh? Okay, let's do one more with filter. Come on, just put any filter, man. No, I'm gonna win. Gonna win one more. All right, thanks, Safa. But that's a background. All right, Dixon, nice. I like the eggs. All right, what about Aris or Firdaus? Ken, nice. You're a puffer fish. Yes. Okay. All right, let's do one more in 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, thank you so much, everyone.